Muy buenos días, bienvenidos a la Feria de los Colegios de Madrid. Sean bienvenidos a esta nueva edición que va a ser una edición virtual. En nuestra sesión de webinar esta tarde va a estar el equipo de King's Group con nosotros. Antes de pasar con ellos y entrar en materia y que nos cuenten un poco más de cuál es su oferta de estudio, vamos a recordar algunas cosillas de la feria. Les menciono, les recuerdo que estaremos hasta el 12 de marzo. Será una feria de duración de 2 semanas, en la cual ustedes podrán ingresar al landing de los centros en los que estén interesados para ver información de los mismos, solicitar reunión en la sala de reuniones personal o uno a uno, de manera virtual también, y también, bueno, ya en este caso, apuntarse al webinar o verlo en diferido. Con respecto al webinar, les comento que tienen un cajetín de chat en el cual van a poder estar interactuando con nosotros haciendo sus preguntas, y estas preguntas serán respondidas al final de la sesión por el equipo de los colegios. Última acotación por hacerles: si son usuarios de PC o de Android, van a poder ver a su derecha un botón en el cual pueden reservar desde ya mismo su reunión virtual. Si son usuarios de dispositivos Apple o iOS, van a tener que ingresar a través del landing del centro y solicitar desde allí su reunión con el centro que deseen. Y bueno, sin más, para comenzar esta sesión, vamos a comenzar con Matthew Taylor, quien es el Head Teacher de King's School de Soto Viñuelas, correcto. Perdona que siempre me confundo el nombre. Así que, Matthew, tú mismo puedes comenzar la reunión.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Feria event about King's College and our 3 schools in Madrid. This is the entrance to my particular site, which is in Soto de Viñuelas. And just looking at that, where are we? Approximately 25 minutes drive north of the city centre. So very near the airport, that's 20 minutes away, very near the city centre. And we're set right on the edge of Tres Cantos, and equally facing on to the national park to the north. We get the benefits of both worlds. And of course, we benefit from the fact that we have a large campus. So that's us and our school. Now, the campus, this is a real benefit of our school. We've not only got all our academic lessons going on in the main building, things like the 10 science laboratories, which are used by children from the upper end of primary school until the end of secondary school, that's ages 10 to 18, where they can do real live experiments, 10 laboratories, but also all the extracurricular provision that's a real integral part of a British education. Sports are important. Football we teach, of course, other sports like hockey and rugby. We've got a tennis court and also an indoor swimming pool, so important that all children learn to swim from a young age to make use of swimming and the activities around it in their lives in and outside of school. IT is really important in King's schools, in every school, and we're very well equipped. Older children have Chromebooks, iPads are used lower down the school, in the primary school. Learning starts in the early years, very hands-on, learning through play, and then they grow up into older children going to formal lessons in the secondary school. There's lots of extra activities, including, of course, the opportunity to take horse riding lessons if children want to. That's very popular, particularly with some of our younger children from aged 8 onwards. So what's our mission? Well, All of our King's schools are about providing a high quality British education. It's got to be transformative. It's got to be about changing children, developing them, enable them to really go out into the world, the wider community, go to university, be successful. That's 18 years onwards from when they begin. They're often joining us when very young. And it's really important that the education goes right the way through. We nurture children's talents. Learning is personalised. It's there for the child. It's centred on them. And that's part of the secret of King's College and how things work in our British education. Now, core values. King's core values run through all our schools. Yes, of course, we want children to be open-minded. That's something we're always exploring with them. It's part of our learning. But we want them to have a sense of integrity as they get older, to develop their own values. But alongside it, we want children who, yes, take the initiative, but of course, children who are honest and tolerant. We're a broad community. Lots of children from different backgrounds join our school. They all learn the British curriculum and speak English, and they learn English through the school. But it's important that the community is a tolerant community. And we want children to become independent as they get older, to be ready to move into the world of university and work. And that really involves dedication. They've got to work hard. We expect all our children to be joining in, participating, working hard. And then finally, and most importantly, kindness. As a school and a school group, we really want our children to understand the importance of the society we live in, kindness and inclusivity to other people. And that's reflected in our huge emphasis on charity work and supporting people outside of school as well as in school. I want to, for a minute, just mention a few things about King's values. We run a British curriculum school. What does that mean? It means the system, of course, comes from Britain. It's really successful. We've been here over 50 years. But its emphasis is a bit on being creative, differentiation. That means personalising the learning to each pupil, innovation, pupils thinking for themselves. It's a practical approach. We want to produce thinking learners. This contrasts slightly with the Spanish education, which is more focused on results. It's a bit more theoretical. It's focused on acquiring knowledge. In the British education system, we acquire knowledge, but it's about using it. Spanish system's got slightly more focus on learning facts. Again, we're focused on using them and making use of the world we live in and all that it offers through online learning. So the British system. King's College Soto has pupils starting at 20 months, 2 years old, running right the way through until they leave school aged 17, 18. The year groups in the UK system start with pre-nursery and pre-nursery, even earlier, then nursery, then reception, and then year one. And they move through 13 years of school education. At the end of school, children are taking A-level or IB exams or IGCSEs. That's when they're much older, in years 11, 12, and 13. And this is a real specialism of our school here, is that children stay all the way through, many of them starting at age 2 or 3, until they leave at age 17, 18. Our education, it is, as I've mentioned, creative, it's dynamic. It's not just about reading textbooks or even online books. Students are encouraged to be creative. And as they get older, we are developing their ability to think critically, to analyse, to think rationally, to make arguments and debates. And this prepares students for their exams and university. And that works very well. Now, a brief overview of what's going on. We start really young, age 2. It's a curriculum based on learning through play. We'll be hearing more about that in just a few moments when we hear from La Moraleja School and Chamartin School. But the emphasis is on being collaborative, as these photos indicate, and it's zoned work, creatively linking different types of work, from research to building to painting to really experiential work. It works really well and children are happy. They enjoy their school. And then they move, as they get older, into a more formal lessons, which is the secondary school. So that's a different way of learning. So the secondary school, moving them on, and they are learning to develop their personal skills as a citizen. Yes, of course, we have a huge investment in online learning. That's why all King's schools can seamlessly teach online to pupils at home and to pupils in school. It's why we've stayed open throughout the COVID pandemic. We also emphasize creativity, the personal expression of pupils, music, drama, dance, really enjoyed by pupils, and the traditional academic subjects of the maths, the sciences, the languages, history, geography, building up those academic skills of thinking, analysis and debate, and physical education, benefiting from our site. And we also teach the Lengua Española courses and Ciencias Sociales, the required Spanish curriculum for pupils. And so at the end of school, the last 2 years, pupils have a choice, IB or A-levels. 2 different programs. A-level is the British curriculum program. IB is the International Baccalaureate. This is a program that's taught in over 80 countries across the world. 2 different approaches. If pupils study A-levels, they specialise. They pick 3 options like maths, physics, chemistry. And they, of course, continue learning Spanish. And they have the opportunity to do a research project called the Extended Project, EPQ. If students study the IB, they study a broader programme. 6 subjects, a maths, a science, a language, a humanities subject like history or geography. They study English and Spanish as well as a foreign language, and they have an option which might be a further science or film studies or theatre. It's a more varied programme, and there's a core to it where they study what's actually meant by knowledge and different ways in which people understand what knowledge is through the theory of knowledge. And there's a community activity and service program, creativity, activity and service, which is part of their engagement with the community. So IB and A-levels, 2 different programs. Pupils at age 16 are choosing one or other program. Both of them enable children to access university. The other aspect of the school is, being a British curriculum school, we have the extracurricular activities. And that can be everything from football and dancing and swimming to judo, music, orchestra, bands, to lessons in horse riding. This is part of the overall package of the school. At the end of school, children get GCSE and A-level results. Children at King's do excellently. This is the same in all our schools. We get excellent results. You look at the UK average of GCSE results or A-level results, 28% A-star to A. Our results, 64% getting the top A-star to A. King's pupils do really well, and that leads them to studying in the best universities around the world. Some of our students go to university in Spain. might be in Madrid or Navarra. Many of them, 80% of them, go to other countries. Particularly popular are the UK, the Netherlands, and the United States of America. This is where the King's education leads pupils. And that journey begins when they're really young, quite often at age 2 or 3. And so the final point to make is, if you want to know more, do get in touch, and this presentation will be available. The email address is there. I'd be delighted to welcome you to the school. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to Mrs. June Donnan, who's going to talk to us about La Moraleja School. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just give me 1 second and I'm going to present my slides. Okay, can everybody see the slides there? Matthew or Rachel, do you want to just confirm that everybody can see that? Yes.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here today with Miss Kelly, who is our head of infants. We do have 2 sites, and between Miss Kelly and I, we were just having a little chat there, and I think we've got about 40 years between us in King's College. I've actually worked in all 3 sites, and Miss Kelly has worked in 2 of the sites. So we've got a lot of experience, and I think basically working with Kings and working with children, that's just our passion. That's what we come to work for every day. I'm just going to move on here and talk a little bit about Inspired. Recently, we have become part of the Inspired group, and we are now a group of over 70 schools. And with that comes lots and lots of benefits. Currently, we're running lots of courses and competitions, linking students together, linking students groups together, and of course, linking the teaching population. We've got lots of little things going on with middle leaders courses, English, science, etc. So having that link with many other schools to share good practice has been really beneficial. We are in La Moraleja. Here you can see part of our main site, and later on Miss Kelly will be talking about our infant site, which is 5 or 6 minutes just around the corner. At our main site, we have from year 3 right through to year 11. And as Mr. Taylor said, between the 3 sites at Chamartín also, there's lots and lots of similarities. So we've got the same, we've got primary school, secondary school, chemistry labs, science labs, etc. To me, the sort of the different feel that you will find in La Moraleja is where we, the same as the other 2 schools, but we put a big emphasis on pupil well-being. I firmly believe that when you've got happy teachers, you have happy pupils, and that is a massive difference. Yes, we do have really good academic results, but at the same time, I think, and particularly with the little children, if they're not happy coming to school, then that makes the learning really difficult. At La Moraleja, we also have teachers who are youth mental health first aid trained. So that just means that we have teachers who are who have learnt and are more skilled in working with pupils and helping to develop their well-being. In La Moraleja, we are also a world-class school in high-performance learning. And basically that means that not only do we talk about gifted and talented pupils, we also talk about all pupils are different and all pupils have that capacity to get to whatever level they want to. We feel in La Moraleja that if you do only talk about gifted and talented, you're putting a lid on the learning of all the other pupils. So with high performance learning, that makes sure that we are looking at every child as an individual and there are no limits to the learning that they can achieve. Why high performance learning? There's a little bit of information there on your screen for you about percentages. 67% of high performance learning schools achieved their best results in their own recent histories. 95% of teaching staff reported their students had become more confident and engaged in the learning. So that high performance thread and well-being thread, those are two of the key things that run throughout the whole curriculum in La Moraleja. Similarly to Mr. Taylor, academic results are excellent. These were our first 2020 IGCSE results, and as you can see there, absolutely brilliant. 50% A stars, 72% A star to A, and 99% A star to C. So we were very proud of our excellent IGCSE results. Now, I mentioned earlier our new campus, and I'm going to hand over to Miss Kelly, who is our very experienced and enthusiastic head of infants.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Janice Kelly. I've worked for King's for over 15 years, in fact, probably a little bit more than 15 years. And I specialise actually in our early years education. So we are very, very proud of what we've achieved on the infant site, because we have managed to open this school in COVID. And that's a credit to the team of teachers, the team of builders, our maintenance team, and how hard we all worked to be able to actually open this in very, very difficult situations. So the building itself has actually undergone a complete revamp, and that is inside and outside. And we have, we are very, we believe very much in the importance of our environment. Our environment is actually all about enabling children. We actually consider it to be like the third educator in the classroom. So we have a British curriculum, we have excellent teachers, and we have an enabling environment that allows the children to explore. And all these three elements together make sure that the children actually they are independent, they are developing lots and lots of different skills. We encourage positive relationships and a lot of critical thinking, and we can do this because our environments allow the children to do this. We do think, and this is perhaps the most important thing, is that first and foremost, children have to be happy at school, and they have to feel safe and secure. And when they're safe, secure and happy, then they are actually ready to learn. And one of those elements of that is actually the importance of food. The children need to be full. They need to have eaten. So we actually promote a very healthy diet at King's College, and we start that off in our early years. In all classrooms, they have breakfast, and the children actually from a very early age learn to actually butter their own toast. They learn to eat and drink, and they take healthy options. And by that, we are setting them up then for the rest of the day to be ready to learn. We also think it's really important that we promote a love of learning. So all of our teachers, all of our children, all of our staff are enthusiastic and have a love of learning. We work a lot on spontaneous learning. So you'll see in these two pictures, we've got the sun shining in one moment where we're encouraging the children to get out and just actually look at reflections, things like that. But at the same time, as I'm sure you're all aware, we've had a huge amount of snow in Madrid this year, and we actually spent a lot of time exploring the snow before it became too deep and we had to shut the school. So these things are very important. Every child is unique. Mr. Taylor was absolutely right in saying that. And we tailor our education to meet the needs of every individual. So some children prefer to learn inside, some prefer to learn outside. And we operate a free flow system so that the children can move between the two environments. And we work really, really hard on creating this free flow so that children have the opportunity to choose. Some children need to run and burn off lots of energies. Other children don't need that. They might prefer to actually sit quietly in a book corner. So we work very, very much on creating the right curriculum for every child. It's not that everybody is doing the same thing at the same time. And of course, our youngest children have a lot more opportunity to choose. And as the children grow older, that curriculum is adapted to be able to ensure that all of our areas are covered. So here you'll see some examples of typical learning that takes place. So we've got children outside exploring bricks. There's an adult there promoting the English, because inherently everything that we do is in English. You can see behind them there are children choosing to play. Children may choose to play with Lego. They may choose to play with musical instruments, sand. We have a wide range of resources that we then use to promote the learning. So the child may choose to, for instance, to play with Lego, and we would then take that learning, and a teacher or an adult would go to that child and we would talk about what they're building. We develop their English language. We may use language of shape, size and measure. It could be anything, but we would actually introduce the learning to what the children are showing an interest in. We have actually in the school, we have classrooms, but we also have specialist areas. So we have a very science-based room where the children actually have the opportunity to investigate various materials, to use magnets, to use magnifying glasses, so they can just explore science. We use technology in this room as well. And then we have a separate room for art where the children can actually focus on just art. And it's a beautiful room with lots of natural light. The children can actually access outdoors straight away. And for instance, in front of this classroom, we've actually got a beautiful tree that is showing a lot of spring blossom at the moment. And we encourage our children to actually look at what's happening, to look at the changes that are taking place in the world around us, because it is, it is very beautiful. And perhaps the most important thing to really say is you can see that the children are learning through play. And that is everything that we do. It's our guiding principle, is that children are happy and that they're enjoying and they're learning at the same time. And quite often the children may not realise they're learning, because we are doing it in such a way that they're having so much fun that they just want to come back into school the next day to have more fun and have more fun, and their learning continues. So this is actually an example of our science atelier, and you can see all sorts of curious objects there that the children are encouraged to explore, see what they do, how do they work. So we're encouraging what we call critical thinking, and that's actually a fundamental part of the British curriculum. It is also a fundamental element of high performance learning, where we encourage the children to actually use the skills that they are developing to solve problems. So we have various areas throughout each classroom, and we also have specific areas that the children can further explore. And then this is some examples of children actually learning through play, and you'll see we have got the indoor and the outdoor elements so that they can continue with that. And I mean, for instance, here is a view of the school where you can see how much greenery we've actually got, and we are very, very lucky. We are in La Moraleca. There are a lot of schools here, but we have managed to create a school that has got a huge amount of natural elements, and we are working very hard on developing a forest school principle where we get the children out, where they learn about the birds, they learn about how to feed the birds, they may be making mud pies in a mud kitchen, they may be thinking about recycling and how we can conserve energy. All sorts of different elements are within that, but it is actually, we feel very lucky at the site that we have got. And in addition to that, actually that white building that you can see there is actually a swimming pool. So we also have a learning swimming pool at this site too. So for our younger children, we can actually provide them with swimming lessons and how to learn to swim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Kelly. Just a little note there about parental partnership. Of course, that's key to what we do in all of the King's schools. The staff, the pupils and the parents, that's key to making sure that your children progress really well through school, and communication is something that we all put a lot of time and energy in. It's one of the most important things, making sure that the children know that both parents and staff are in continuous contact. So just have a little think about that. But that's something that's important in all of the King's schools. On the left there, you will see some examples of the types of communication that we have. And then, as Mr. Taylor mentioned, e-learning or learning online or hybrid learning. There's lots of terminologies now that we use. Kings, we are very experienced at that. And as Mr. Taylor said, that during lockdown, that meant that we were able to continue very seamlessly with classes online. And then throughout the year with, as he also said, pupils in the classroom, pupils online, etc. So we're very experienced in doing all of the different blends that you can do with online learning. That's just some pictures there and some different concepts about the online learning. And then lastly, just to mention, in La Moraleja, we went through our Penta inspection just last year and got outstanding in every category. This is the 4th inspection that we've had where we've been outstanding in every category. So we're very proud of that, as we are with being a world-class HPL school. Our details will be here, and you can contact Nuria Sanz or myself or Miss Kelly for any more information that you need. And then towards the end of this presentation, parents can ask questions in Spanish or English. Both Miss Kelly and I both speak Spanish, so if there's any questions you want to ask there, that's absolutely fine. And I'm now just going to stop presenting and hand over to Rachel Davis, who's the head teacher of Chamartín.
Thank you. I'll just get my slides up and then I will start. June, would you just let me know that you can see the slides?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. So as we've said, there's a few of our schools are in the north. The Chamartín site is more centrally based. So we are right in the centre of Madrid. Many of our children live in the Retiro area or the Chamberí area. And we do offer some bus routes, but many of the children come to school as parents are on their way to work. So we're a little bit different in that sense. Our site is a little bit smaller, but we still have lots of different areas, both inside and outside, that the children can use. So as you can see here, as you first enter the school, we have a playground area that's set up as a garden area. And we use this area with our youngest children for a big proportion of the day. They have the opportunity to look after and care for plants. They are, I think in that photograph there, you can see that they're building blocks similar to the photograph that you've seen in Moraleja. But the children are collaborating in their learning, and they're doing lots of different things inside and outside. I think we've talked about these in the other schools already, so I won't go into too much detail. But again, you know, we're staying up to date with the most education, the up to date UK educational practice, and we have a very strong focus, as June was saying, about nurturing pupils, their talents, but also their well-being as well. So as Matthew Taylor introduced these, I wanted to make sure that it's clear that the King's College values, they start right at the beginning of the child's education, and even down in pre-nursery where our children are 2 years old. These are our values that our teachers make sure are planned into the curriculum. So making sure that we have a focus on kindness, and we unpick some of those more difficult ideas of tolerance and respect. So these concepts that, you know, the children are very familiar with because we've started from 2. And if these are core values introduced at that age, as the children move through the school and they get used to the language of what that means, they develop that because they've got that very strong foundation of values coming through everything that they've already been doing. And you can see there that our children are happy. I think that's one of the key themes. Janice Kelly was talking about children being safe, secure and happy, but also being, play. Play is a really important element of our curriculum. And creative curriculum is something that we've worked really hard to build, making sure that the children really have a spark ignited in what they're doing. Here you can see a photograph of somebody working artistically on a piece of artwork, but they're using things that they've gathered from the garden, that they've taken their interest. And the children are very excited and they're engaged at everything that they're doing at school. And as June said, that's what we really need. We need children to come to school, wanting to come to school happy, so that they can progress in their learning, but ultimately they want to come back because they want to learn something new. And we see the children coming into school every day like that, and that makes learning much easier because they're motivated to progress. We also make sure that the pupils are actively encouraged to share their opinions from a very young age, and that they listen to and they respect the opinions of others. And that's an example really of how we foster that core value of tolerance. Teachers make sure that their lessons are very lively and they're varied. We don't have worksheets in place because research shows that is not the best way that children learn. So you'll see children working in groups, small guided groups with the teacher, and sometimes, you know, collaboratively together without an adult. And we really encourage that independence to start at a very young age. We also were very lucky that we had a renovation of our building during the summer holidays, and just this January we had a delivery of new furniture. So although we've been established here in Chamartín for some time, the building definitely feels new, and I think you can see from this picture that it's also very beautiful. We've really worked hard at making sure that we've got open-ended resources that the children can access themselves. And that helps them to develop that independence to work, and also to make sure that the spaces invite collaborative work. So, for example, the table here in this photograph is a standing table. It's not got seats. So that encourages the children to move more freely around the room, and, you know, to join their friends alongside each other, working together. And you can see here that there's lots of experiences that are first-hand. It's very, very practical. And there's interesting objects throughout the room that really are there to help the children explore and investigate, but to develop confidence in what they're doing themselves. So this is an example of one of our nursery classes. And now I'm going to show you one of the year 2 classes. So one of the youngest and one of the oldest. And I think it's really important for you to see that even in year 2, we still value play. And we value play because we see the impact it has on children's learning. Yes, in year 2, they do have more formalized learning, and they have lessons, you know, taught for maths and for writing and literacy, but they also have opportunities planned for play. And I'm just going to talk through, as an example, this little area here that we had set up for a shop. So this is what we would call a symbolic play area. It's a role play area. And the children here have been exploring a concept around lessons in maths on money. And then they're using the money in the shop to buy merienda, their snack in the afternoon. And the teacher has set it up with extra complications as the weeks have gone on. So currently, when they're selling their meriendas to each other, they have a price for the first piece of snack, and then there's a discount applied to the next. And they have to calculate the change from the money that they've been given from the beginning of the week. And if they work a shift, then they also have a discount applied for any other purchases that they make. So in that role play area there's so much maths going on, and that the children have really consolidated all of the learning that took place in their more formal lessons, but we can see them applying it, and they're really enjoying the experience. It's a very popular time of the day when they have to go and practice their math skills, but it's been linked to the topic that they've been learning with their teacher. So this will change. It will take on a different theme as they move through different aspects of the curriculum. But we can see that, you know, having this play-based approach, it adds to the academic standards that we achieve at King's Infant School. So that's just one area. But you can also see that there's lots of multi-purpose areas and spaces within the classroom that are used creatively depending on the lesson that the children are in. All areas have a soft reading area, and many of the classrooms have light panels on the floor or in the tables, and that's to foster that, encouraging them to investigate things more. We've used them a lot in science recently, investigating things in more detail. Nursery, for example, have used them to investigate what's inside the fruit. So we've been giving slices of fruit and having a real close look with the light coming through to see the seeds and the different structures of things like an orange or a lemon. I know Miss Donnan talked a little bit about parent partnerships, but particularly with young children, parent partnerships are absolutely crucial. to a child succeeding at school. They need to know that mums and dads talk to teachers and that we are a partnership together, because children are different at home and they're different at school. But in order for us to see the whole child and to help them progress in all areas, we need to see what's happening at home, and you need to see what's happening at school. So we have many of the things that Ms. Donnan has talked about with the open door policy of, COVID permitting, face-to-face meetings. We have emails for the class teacher. You're able to email them directly. We've got many open days. We would have specific days where you can come and learn about an approach in school. So you might have mastery maths, and we have lessons open for parents to come and watch. The same with phonics. We have 3 parents' evenings a year, and they're individual meetings where you're talking about your child's individual development, and personalized teaching means that we need to have those meetings personalized as well. And you would get those prior to a written report, which is a bit more formal. And then informally, day to day, we have 2 really, I'd say, really important aspects of this partnership. Is the Class Dojo blog, which is an app on your phone that you can access, and you can see photos and videos of the learning that's been happening in school that day. So that enables you to then go home at the end of the day and have a conversation about what happened at school. Children that are happy often come home and say, I had a great day at school and I played all day long. And you might think that's great, but what did you learn? But actually, they will be learning a lot through play. And so it will be really helpful for you to see a photograph of what they were playing, so that when they say that, you've got something to follow up with. You can say, oh, wow, I did see you playing. You were playing in the shops today and you were working with money. How fantastic. I wonder what coins we've got at home. And you can further extend that. And then the next thing is that we've got this online learning portfolio, which is Tapestry. And that enables you to then record anything that you're doing at home that's fantastic with us at school. So it might be that you saw your child playing. We sent a photograph, you saw that video. Then that sparked an interest for your child. And you had a look at coins at home. And you noticed that they'd already started to recognize some of the new, the numbers on the coins, and that they'd calculated them. And then you can take a photograph and you can send a little comment, saying that your child was able to do that independently. And then you send it back to us, and we value that. And so we put that into the contribution of your child's learning journey, and it forms their part of their online portfolio. So lots of schools talk about this parent partnership, but at King's College, it's really meaningful, and it's crucial. So we really make sure that we've got lots of things in place to make sure that works for everybody. Our children are young at King's Infant School, but we still have standards that we can refer back to the UK. And so these are teacher judgment standards, but you can see already that the children that leave us in King's Infant School are already working above that of a UK average school. And that's, in important subjects like reading, writing and math, they're leaving us with a really strong foundation to continue with in Moraleca or in Soto. Alongside being happy, they are achieving that standard in their academics as well. We've already talked a little bit about the online learning, but I want to make it clear that even with our youngest children in pre-nursery, we stayed open with our 2-year-old classes. And we made sure that lessons were dynamic, that they were exciting, that they were motivating for the children. And we sent packs of resources home so that the children, they were able to make something with Play-Doh, or they were able to do some finger painting that their teacher was leading. And the children's lessons carried on just as they would if they were at school. So I want you to be clear that goes all the way through up to 18 years old, but it still is in place for the 2-year-olds. And I'll just finish with this wonderful photo of some of our children playing in the outside area, that we strongly believe that King's Infant School education provides a fantastic learning experience that creates successful, intelligent and really happy individuals. And you can see there that those boys there, they're very happy. So I will stop sharing my screen, and I think we've got time for questions. Can't find my screen. I think I've managed to send it up.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias, chicos. La verdad es que sí, se entiende muchísimo todo lo que nos han comentado, la verdad, súper completa la exposición y la información que nos dan. Sin embargo, bueno, hay algunas preguntas que surgieron incluso antes que ustedes hablaran de ellas. Voy a comentárselas para que, bueno, reforcemos esos puntos y así los padres se vayan tranquilos a las demás cosas que tienen que hacer, ¿no? Esta pregunta está en inglés, nos colocan: Good morning, we want to know how parents can help their children with English and this educational model at home. Quieren saber básicamente cómo pueden los padres involucrarse en la educación de sus hijos y cómo pueden ayudarlos desde casa con el modelo que tienen los colegios de King's Group.
Can I start the little answer? Yeah. Task in Chamartin, and I'm sure it's the same in the other two. We have parent workshops weekly. It's called a parenting school, and we organise activities and workshops for parents to come along to understand specific aspects of the curriculum. So mastery in maths, for example, is quite different to the Spanish model. So we encourage parents to come along to that, to learn a little bit about how we teach things, and then that provides them with the new skills and knowledge for them to use at home. Does anybody else want to jump in as well?
Yeah, just similar there. We are the same as Ms. Davis would say there. We also have workshops, and we also make sure that because of the really close relationship between parents and teachers, it's always very clear how you can help your child. So for us, I think, and for all of the schools, it's just the communication is important, that you always ask lots of questions.
You do. The other thing is we do in all the schools have a lot of specialist Englishers and additional language teachers who are always in contact with the parents about how they can best support. That's another side to all the schools' work.
I just see that question there. Do the children have to speak perfect English to join King's College? Will they struggle if not? The easy answer is no. Obviously, it depends. You know, if the child is 15, that might be slightly different, but generally, it's not a problem whatsoever. We have children who are 100% fluent in English, no Spanish, 100% fluent in Spanish, no English. There's a huge range, and all of the learning is personalized. So that's not a problem.
It's tracked as well. So progress is monitored to make sure that your child is making the rapid progress that they need to make. And that runs through, you know, right from the beginning in pre-nursery all the way through to 18 years old. So if they're not on track, you'd have a meeting about it and would make sure that we put things in place to ensure they wouldn't be left to fall behind at all.
Perfecto. Si quieren, bueno, también pasamos con una preguntita más que nos hacían desde la audiencia. Dice: ¿cómo se atienden las dificultades de aprendizaje y con qué recursos humanos cuentan para ellos?
I don't mind, shall I start, or anybody else want to join in there? Again, we're back to the personalized learning. It would depend, every single child and situation is different. So depending on that, we also have in all of the schools, we have school counselors and psychologists. We have a SENCO, which is the person who leads the support groups, etc. We've got nurture groups up and running, which support the children with their social skills. So depending on every individual problem, there always is a lot of conversation and support given. And that support can be everything from an extra 10 minutes reading with the teacher a couple of times a week to something totally different. But it's quite hard to explain because every single case is different. I don't know.
I just further to that, we also in the schools have the ability to do the formal educational assessment if a child's got a diagnosed special need. We actually can run the assessments and then get them the support in school as well. And we do have a number of children who get extra learning support, and it works very well in all the schools.
Well, thank you very much. Si quieren hacer alguna pregunta más, este es el momento. Y si no, bueno, sería la llamada, digamos, a que entren en el landing del colegio que les interese o del centro de la agrupación que les interese y soliciten una cita virtual con el equipo y así pueden, digamos, profundizar más en los temas que quieran ver y sobre todo que ellos les brinden una asesoría más personalizada para que se puedan imaginar y puedan ver cómo puede ser o cómo puede fluir el curso educativo de su hijo en alguno de los centros que ellos tengan. Por aquí nos llega otra pregunta. Do they have same classmates year after year, or do you tend to change this? Is there a huge rotation of children? A ver, entiendo que esta persona está preguntando cómo rotan los niños entre clases, curso tras curso, y si hay mucha rotación fuera y dentro del colegio, ¿no? Es decir, que se vayan o ingresen muchos alumnos nuevos a través de los cursos en los centros.
I start with this. I mean, this question of rotation, people leaving to other countries, we don't have huge rotation. Some, of course, as in any school, sometimes parents' jobs change and people move year by year, but there's not huge rotation. Classes stay the same through the year, and in each class group, they'll often be together for a few years at a time. But at certain key points in education in my school, we might move the children around so they're in a different class group. But that's not every year, and it's something we also talk with parents about and with the pupils as they get older as well, to make sure it really works and it's good for them and their social development.
Can I add as well that when the children leave Chamartín in year 2, they finish at my site, that when they filter into Moraleca and to Soto, that's one of the key points where the classes are rearranged. And that's so that the Chamartín children become part of that school. They're not kept separate as a Chamartín class. They become integrated into the school. So when that happens, we have at least 6 weeks of planning that goes on where the teachers and the heads of school are in touch with us, and the children get to know their groups and they get to do activities and they get to build those relationships before they move across. And it's an exciting time for all the children because they know that there's going to be a new group of children joining them and they're excited about their new year 3 classes. And parents are involved in that as well.
Well, perfect, guys. Thank you. Gracias, muchísimas gracias, la verdad. Se nos ha acabado el tiempo ya por hoy, pero bueno, nuevamente la idea es que soliciten las citas virtuales dentro de los coles o dentro de los landings de los coles que les interesen, para que así, bueno, puedan tener mayor asesoría con respecto a todos estos puntos en los que nos hemos enfocado hoy, ¿no? Así que, bueno, muchísimas gracias y sigan en contacto.
Sí.
Hasta luego.
Well, gracias.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you,
Gracias a
everybody.
ustedes.
Is that it?